At 30,000 feet, Daniel Mercer sat in first class with $47 million spread across his accounts, a tech empire waiting for his command, and absolutely no clue how to calm his screaming son. 9-year-old Aiden's cries sliced through the polished hush of the premium cabin, shattering the cultivated calm. Phones were already out, passengers already filming, their eyes sharp with judgment. 3 rows back in economy, 12-year-old Jordan Lee watched it all unfold: the millionaire's humiliation, the boy's terror, and the crowd's cruel fascination. Jordan recognized something no one else did. With nothing but a battered toy car and the hard-won lessons of helping his autistic cousin back home, he rose to his feet. From the moment they'd stepped into LaGuardia, Daniel's polished exterior was cracking. His designer suit, his Italian tie, his practiced authority, it all felt useless beside a son who pressed his hands to his ears and rocked on his heels, overwhelmed by the chaos of travel. Widowed just a year ago, Daniel was raising Aiden alone, and no amount of expensive therapy, no $40,000 a month programs, had given him the one thing he wanted: a connection with his son. Meanwhile, Jordan shuffled nervously through economy boarding. His mother was too sick to care for him anymore, so he was flying to Chicago to live with an aunt he barely knew. His backpack, patched with safety pins, carried the only things that mattered: a change of clothes, a notebook of sketches, and his old toy cars. His mother had told him, "Hold your head high, Jordan. You're just as good as anyone on that plane." As the aircraft taxied, Aiden began tapping the armrest in his familiar 7-fast, 3-slow rhythm. Daniel tried to stop him, but Aiden recoiled, terrified. The engines roared, the lights glared, and his son's meltdown erupted into full-blown chaos. Passengers groaned. A businessman muttered about a $4,000 seat ruined. A woman hissed, "Can't he control his own child?" Flight attendants whispered about restraints. And that's when Jordan, newly reseated closer to first class due to a broken row in economy, saw enough. He slipped past the curtain, crouched low beside Aiden, and without touching, without forcing, set his toy car gently on the tray table. It rolled crooked on its broken wheel. Aiden froze, his wide eyes locked on the toy as it wobbled back and forth. The cries softened, his fists unclenched. The cabin went silent. "You're the driver," Jordan whispered. "The car goes where you want it to." For the first time all flight, Aiden reached out with trembling fingers, guiding the toy himself. A laugh, fragile, tentative, escaped him. Gasps rippled through first class. This boy from economy, with nothing but patience and empathy, was succeeding where wealth and authority had failed. Daniel sat paralyzed, a cocktail of shame and awe twisting in his chest. His son was calm not because of him, not because of the specialists he'd hired, but because a stranger had chosen compassion over judgment. For hours, Jordan stayed at Aiden's side. He hummed when Aiden hummed. He tapped rhythms that turned into playful duets. He gently introduced choices instead of commands: apple juice or crackers, letting Aiden decide. When turbulence hit, he spun a story about superhero airplanes flexing their muscles, making Aiden laugh. Slowly, impossibly, the boy began to trust him. And the cabin, once hostile, shifted. A businessman who demanded Aiden be removed confessed his brother had been institutionalized decades earlier for autism. Another passenger, a lawyer, offered Jordan's family pro bono help after hearing his mother's cancer was linked to asbestos exposure. A restaurant owner promised his aunt a job with full benefits. Strangers who had sneered now apologized. By the time the plane landed in Chicago, no one saw Aiden as a disruption anymore. They saw him as a child who had been met where he was, not forced into where others wanted him to be. They saw Jordan, a boy traveling alone with a sick mother, change not just one flight, but dozens of lives. But the story didn't end there. At the gate, Jordan's aunt embraced him, thanking Daniel and Aiden for looking after her nephew. Aiden clutched Jordan's hand. "He's my friend," he said fiercely. "Friends are forever, even when they're far away." Hours later, in a first-class lounge, news footage of the flight hit television screens. The video of Jordan calming Aiden with the broken car had already gone viral, millions of views within hours. Strangers online were calling Jordan an angel, debating whether Daniel's fortune had blinded him to the truth about parenting. When weather delays grounded flights, Aiden began to unravel again until Daniel, remembering Jordan's lessons, dropped to his knees and whispered, I don't understand, but I want to. Help me learn. For the first time, he matched his son's rocking instead of trying to stop it. And Aiden calmed. Later, when another child in the lounge began melting down, Aiden quietly rolled the toy car toward him, just as Jordan had done for him. The Millionaire CEO, once humiliated, had been taught by a poor boy with a broken toy car what therapists and money never could. Listen, meet children where they are, and give them agency over their world. That day, Daniel Mercer's empire felt meaningless compared to the fragile bridge he was finally learning to build with his son, and with a boy from the Bronx who had nothing but compassion to give. And when asked later what he had learned, Daniel's answer sparked both admiration and controversy. I spent years trying to fix my son. Jordan showed me I needed to fix myself.